Welcome back. I'm glad you're still with us here on Morning at NTV. Time now for the business update, a conversation that will be delving into what is described as Uganda's tenfold growth strategy, and one of the institutions that are leading this push is the Uganda Development Corporation. Uganda Development Corporation is at the forefront of entrepreneurship and business enterprise that is designed to be able to take Uganda forward and, of course, put us on the trajectory to be our major player when it comes to economic matters, not only within the region and Africa, but indeed across the globe. It also comes on the back as one of the aspects that will be considered as the eighth, as the Economic Summit of NTV is due to be held on Thursday, and Uganda Development Corporation is pretty much a part of it. I'm joined by Vincent Kisembo. He is a senior officer monitoring and evaluation at Uganda Development Corporation. Mr. Kisembo, welcome to the program.
Yes, thank you so much, and good morning, viewers.
We are looking forward to the Economic Summit, one of the flagship events that NTV has come to be known for. It's one that brings together the country's finest economic minds to bring us up to speed with what interventions are being made, but most importantly, to give direction in as far as the economy is concerned. I'm personally looking forward to it, and there's a lot that we shall delve into it. But first, tell us quickly about UDC. There are many of us who might not even understand that apparently Serena Conference Center, which means where NTV is sitting, is UDC property.
Yeah, sure.
Wow.
Yeah, again, good morning, viewers. I'm glad to be hosted here in NTV.
You're most welcome.
And I would say that Uganda Development Corporation is not a new government agency. I would say it is as old as our independence. Probably it is even older than Uganda. It is a corporation that was started in 1952 by the colonialists. That was during the colonial era. Yeah. And the purpose of its establishment was to lead the industrialization of this country. And by so doing, by that time, there was a lot of businesses that had that were established by the colonial masters in the name of developing of the country. If you've ever heard of the likes of Kilembe Mines in Kasese, that was UDC. That was UDC. If you recall the hotels that were flourishing during the 50s, the 60s, 70s, 80s, up to the 90s. That chain of Uganda. That chain of the hotels Uganda in the country, the likes of Masinde Hotel, the likes of Mbari Resort, the likes of all the hotels by that time were being owned by Uganda Development Corporation. But I don't want to go into the nitty-gritties of what happened, but the subsequent wars in the 70s of Idi Amin, in the 80s of Idi Amin, greatly and negatively impacted the UDC investments to the extent that they were returning losses. Now, around 1998, this NRM government had to take a strategic move of privatizing most of the investments as early as, I think, 1990s. To around 1998. So most of the businesses were privatized to the private entities. Now, that was in line of fostering but also preparing the private sector to flourish. You know, our country is an open economy that supports the growth of the private sector. So around 2016, I mean discussions around 2015-16 resurfaced again. Much as, yes, UDC had been wound up around 2008, government, said yes. Whereas our initiative is to develop the private sector. But there are some strategic investment where the private sector is finding it a little hard to go into. That is right. So we need government again to support the private sector so that we can jointly invest. So 2016, we see the establishment of Uganda Development Corporation. So we would say maybe UDC is 8 years old. So as a matter of fact, we've had now to co-invest with the private sector. And where the private sector has not largely invested, we have had as government through UDC to direct and invest. You must have heard of the likes of projects like Soroti Fruits Factory.
I was just going to ask,
yes,
what are these strategic investment vehicles that have been created by UDC that we can quickly point to in order to understand what the push is?
Okay. To understand the strategic investments that UDC has put in place for the last 8 years, we can categorize them by sectors or sub-sectors.
Okay.
If you go to the, for example, to the pharmaceutical industry, we have the likes of the East African Medical Vitals that is based in Namamve, and it is manufacturing surgical gloves. This country is no longer now importing the gloves, for example, they are using in hospitals, but also in most of the households. We have a vibrant factory called the East African Medical Vitals. And people, you can see them in pharmacies. The moment you see the EMV, just know that is a UDC investment. If you go to the animal subsector, that is the veterinary subsector, to say so, we have the likes of Sanga Vet. There is a company also based in Namamve. It is now manufacturing modern veterinary medicine. So if you go to the pharmacies and drug shops, you say Sang Vet, Sang. When you see Sang, just to know that that is the government of Uganda investment through the Uganda Development Corporation. If you come into the tea subsector, it is also flourishing, only that of late we've had a number of challenges as we shall dissect them probably in a few minutes from now. But if you go to Fort Portal side or Kabarole, so in the Toro subsector we have, we've invested in Mabale Tea Growers Factory, we've invested in Mpanga Growers Tea Factory. If you go to Chigezi, we have Chigezi Highland Tea Factory, but also Kayonza Tea Factory. And if we come into the sugar subsector, we have the likes of Atiak sugar subsector, which has been actually has been a talk in the public domain. But to understand the likes of Atiak sugar factory right now, I think you need to fly over the likes in the district of Guru, but also Amuru, to understand how magnificent this project is. And soon I think we shall see the sugar coming out, because there is a lot that has been happening, including mechanization of that factory. So basically those are some of the subsectors, and more are coming. I can say that UDC boasts of 17 investments of that nature. And we've created about 4,000 jobs, and more are coming on board. Yes, yes.
That is a whole litany of investments being undertaken. I would like to understand a little bit deeper, especially when it comes to co-ownership or partnership. In, for example, and this is to just augment and make the average Ugandan confident. The private sector is very delicate, especially when it comes to return of profit or injection of capital. I do not know whether the safeguards in these PPPs is one that is worth writing home about, in incidents where some establishments or investments or enterprises, to be specific, have not performed to the best of their ability or how it was envisioned and have wound up. What is in it for the taxpayer?
For the viewers to understand how UDC invests, when we have policies, systems, processes, and procedures that are in place for which the corporation follows. But also, before we invest, largely we follow the law. So there is an enabling law that informs how UDC should invest. In any case, even the UDC Act of 2016 clearly stipulates how we should invest in. One of our core process is we subject to all the investments that we want to go in to a number of processes such as appraisals. So we dive into the governance structure. If it's not there, then we have ensure that the governance structure in that particular company is established and it is vibrant. But also the UDC or government interests are also represented on that particular company or investment that we have gone in. So on a daily, we keep monitoring. On a daily, we sit, or on a monthly or even a quarterly basis, we regularly sit and we dissect some of the grappling challenges, but also we seek solutions jointly to ensure that our investments are profitable, to ensure the tax money, the taxpayers' money is actually yields profit to the investor, to government, but also we also contribute to the national treasury. So in a nutshell, I would say that we subject there are processes, systems and procedures that govern us, that govern the corporation before we actually invest. That is right. So even when we've invested, you see we do a lot of monitoring, we do a lot of evaluations. That's why I am here probably. That's and right. I'm one of the people who take on that particular function.
Okay. Yeah. In light of the annual NTV Economic Summit, of course, supported by the Ministry of Finance and with Uganda Development Corporation as a key partner, the theme, opportunities to financing the 10-fold growth. This is a strategy that is being rolled out by the government. What specific industries or sectors would you say this is where the private sector should focus on injecting money or seeking partnerships with government as provided by the Uganda Development Corporation?
Yeah, the mandate of UDC is to lead the industrialization of this country. And in addition to the 17 investments that I've mentioned here, that are spread across the different regions of this country, because we are everywhere. We are in the west, we are in north, we are in the east, we are also in the central here. Even where we are seated here, like you said, this is a property of Uganda Development Corporation, owned and managed by Naira Hotel International. Now, but for us to be in alignment with that 10-year strategy that is being championed by the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, but also other government agencies. We have plans of investing in mineral beneficiation. In Chigezi, for example, there is a lot of iron there and sponge, and UDC is taking lead to establish a mega factory or investment that will improve our iron ore that is in the plant that side. And that will save our country, our industries here, the likes of roofings and others, from importing the sponge that has been used, for example, to manufacture strong metals or metallic equipment, for the likes of iron bars and things of that sort that are using in the construction subsector. We also have strategic, we want also to continue to investing in veterinary services, human interventions, health services. For example, in Itoro, that is there is a private sector called the Virika Pharmaceutical. We want to start now manufacturing the intravenous fluids, the water that is injected in the human beings.
Saline water.
Yes. You see, we are importing it, so we want to start manufacturing it here, and that is going to be championed by Uganda Development Corporation. Of course, working with the private sector. And a lot more, even in agro-industrialization. Yes, we have invested there, but our companies still need a lot of investments. We are going into the clothing subsector. The likes of fine spinners here, they are here. We have a lot of cotton. We are going to add more value on our cotton. And we're already doing that. For example, we have a factory in Luka district in the Busoga sub-region called the Mutuma Commercial Agencies. It is adding value on the plenty cotton that is grown in that particular sub-region. And mind you, the cotton we are using in this country right now is now being manufactured or produced by Mutuma Commercial Agencies. Yes. Okay. If you get an accident, the cotton we are using, it is now being sourced largely here. And of course, our main supplier being NMS, National Medical Stores, and the Joint Medical Stores.
Okay. In terms of opportunities for growth in the economy, I'm interested around about now in inclusive growth, creation of more employment opportunities for the youth and women, but also how entrenched wealth creation is, and whether you are, of course, by being a player, you're already creating jobs, but is this targeted? For example, UDC looking out for vulnerable segments of the population, including women, to be able to provide specific jobs for them, but also offering opportunities to youth who are particularly challenged when it comes to accessing the other specific jobs that they might want, and may be readily available but may not simply be apparent to them. Is that something of a targeted prong?
I would say the way UDC works is we work in a participatory manner.
Participatory manner.
We work to ensure that everyone is brought on board.
Okay.
And we deliberate on the youth and the women in how we program, in how we deliver our projects and programs. And we deliberately even report on, for example, yes, we are saying we have created 4,000 jobs. How many youth? We have the figures. How many women? We have the figures.
It should be important to
we have the figures.
Show them so that it gives confidence to others to come on board.
Yes, and we are deliberate to our investments. They may not be per se that these maybe out of this are maybe it's 40%. Yes, but at least we were deliberate in everything we are trying to do to ensure that youth actually are included and women are also included in our program. But also, as a corporation, we are establishing a youth-led fund, whereby it may be in the coming years, the youth will be in position to do, for the youth who are going to be innovative, they can access a youth-specific fund that will support youth innovations going forward. So the youth outside there should prepare to engage, but also to write innovative projects. And for those that are already engaged in, rest assured that UDC will support some of their innovations. It is within the UDC Act, I would say, and it's being backed by the law. So it would be an opportunity. I mean, in a coming probably time, I don't want to specify, maybe month or years, we shall come on this 20V, and we allow the youth to come and apply for some of these specific money so that they can foster some of the innovations and projects. All
right, very lastly, when you talk about the fact that UDC exclusively being government, working in tandem with the private sector in some of these enterprises, I do not know how you address some of the challenges that you face. After all, your government. So when the challenges for us in the private sector, when we are challenged, we come to government asking for help, asking for specific interventions. Now that you are a government entity and you are specifically challenged, you won't go to the private sector. You still have to go to, technically, government. So what are these challenges and how are you approaching this dilemma?
Yeah, thank you. I would say also government faces challenges, and when government also has such issues, it has partners it can go to. We've had maybe we've had like friends like the World Bank, we've had KFW, we've had African Development Bank. That are entities that are helping us to try and solve some of these particular problems, but also challenges. But specifically, the key challenges have been strategic. For example, if you look at the tea subsector, the prices have been dwindling. And the cause of these prices to come down significantly by 80% or 70, I mean between 70 and 80%, has been because of the global factors. For example, the ongoing war in Ukraine, between the conflict between Ukraine and Russia. And those have been actually the key tea-off-takers. If you go to the Middle East and see what is happening in Gaza and in Gaza area, those have been the key off-takers. And so, for some reason, trade has been disrupted. But also, the Pakistani economy also has been, had dwindled, it had been down, and yet those have been the key off-takers for our tea. So government, of course, represented by Uganda Development Corporation, and in conjunction with the Ministry of Culture, Animal Fisheries and Industries, are strategically working together to try and identify alternative markets. Of course, exploring markets in Dubai or exploring new markets elsewhere other than maybe using the corridors, but also initially we've been depending on the Mombasa auction point, market. And we are saying no. As a matter of fact, we might also establish our own market here so that we can sell our tea from here. That is strategic level. Then the other challenge has been, of course, the resource envelope. As a corporation, yes, we still need more resources because we have so many project proposals that are coming in. But sometimes we, as a corporation, we say no. Yes, it's an enticing project, but it needs a lot of money, and we are engaging government, to capitalize more of, resources to UDC, so that we can touch, at least every region, every project across every region in this country. Yeah.
All right, Mr. Vincent Kisembo, Senior Monitoring and Evaluation Officer at Uganda Development Corporation, many thanks for the insight and bringing us up to speed with the kind of conversations that we shall be expecting at the 8th Annual Ministry of Finance, Economic Planning and Development, NTV Economic Summit that will be held on Thursday. 2 p.m. is the time, and the venue is the Kampala Serena Conference Center. That, as we have just been told by Mr. Vincent Kisembo, does belong in part to the Uganda Development Corporation. That event will be broadcast live, so ensure that you catch it. The keynote speaker will be the Permanent Secretary and Secretary to the Treasury, Ramadan Gobi. The conversation will be on opportunities to financing the 10-fold growth you don't want to miss, rather. Let's take a break, and when we return, Morning at NTV does continue. Please do stay with us.